Hi guys, today we're going to be replacing a carburetor on this Weed Ear Featherlight SST25CE because it runs good, but the primer bulb ended up cracking on it, as you guys can see right here. So that's the only way it'll start up, so now we've got to fix that so we can get to run again. And instead of just replacing the primer bulb itself, I just decided to change the carburetor out together. That way you know what you got. Alright, let's get into it. I'm going to start off by taking the air filter cover off. Just put that, press it down, then move this, take that off. Air filter looks okay. It can use a little wash or a new one, but I'm just going to put that off to the side. Now, looks like we need two Allen keys to go into here to take it off, and I'll just get the Allen keys out. I wasn't sure what size the Allen key we needed, so I just got my Allen key set out, and it is 532s. And then all I gotta do is just put that in there, and then lefty loosey right. It's hard to do it with one hand. Just break them free. Shouldn't be on too tight. Let me just take the camera off for a second. So now that I unscrewed these, this one needs to be unscrewed a little bit more. But as you can see right here, they just pull out and it'll just pull right out of the carburetor. So be careful of that. And I suggest before doing this, you go around and you take some photos of what the carb looks like before taking it apart. That way you know where stuff goes, like fuel lines or just anything really, screws and stuff. As you can see, the fuel line closest to us by the gas cap goes to the very bottom, all the way up to here around to the primer bulb. And as we can see, the one closest to the motor, it goes all the way into the carburetor right there. So closest to us, primer bulb, and closest to the engine is to the carburetor. So now we're just going to take these bolts out carefully. Now the carburetor is moving on us. You see, it just kind of slides out like that. That's pretty dirty. We're going to clean that up before we put it all back together. So let's put this off to the side over there. Now here we go. Now we got all the carb out. That's what it's looking like. Greasy, eh? Trying to use my headlamp to show you guys what's going on here. So we can see that there's a throttle cable hooked up right here. Now that we got that taken off, pulled off to the side over here, we can now put the carburetor, take these old fuel lines off. So all we got to take is this one off, then this guy off, and then we got a brand new carburetor that's sitting in the box in the bag. I just decided to get this because it's a little easier and a little cheaper than buying a new primer bulb set. The primer bulb itself was $13, or $10 for the primer bulb, $13 for the carburetor. That has a new primer bulb on it, so it made more sense to get the new carburetor. That way you know what you got. You got something clean, you got something good. So ignore the cat meowing in the background, it'll be alright. I just took the throttle cable off over here. You see it was just clipped in right here into this little hole. So now that that's off, we can just take the fuel lines off and put the new carb on. So these are what the new and old carburetor looks like. This is the old one up here. You can see the primer bulb is completely black, stained from oil in the fuel, which is alright, though it's totally normal. Here's the brand new one we got. Brand new, clean primer bulb, clean everything. Just make sure everything looks the same, as that looks good. So look at them like that. Look to be exactly the same, besides a little bit more plastic on this one right here than there is on that one. But that's really nothing. Alright, well, now let's get this carburetor on. So like what we did last, you remember this back fuel line, the shorter fuel line goes onto the carburetor, and the longer one goes to the primer bulb. And then we gotta connect that throttle cable. So I think I should connect that throttle cable before we do anything else. Also, I just realized there was this gasket stuck onto the old carburetor on the back of it towards the engine, and you want to have this taken off before you put the new carburetor on, so that way it's all airtight and you don't have any air leaks, because that could affect the performance of the carburetor and the engine overall, and it won't start right. So the throttle cable is right here, and with our photos, go back to look at it, it just kind of popped off for me, so I didn't get to see where it was at. It goes onto here, so I'll show you how this looks when it's all hooked up. But I'll just put the phone back down for a second. Okay, now that I got the throttle cable on, I'll just hold this right here and show you guys how it's on. It should just look like this. As you can see, I just put the cable up like that. It's hard to show you with the light in there at the same time. And then when I go to click the trigger, it should move. I tested that out already, so I'll test it out for you if you're putting it on. So just have it like that. Now we can connect the fuel lines and make sure that gasket's on there before we put those screws in. But I'll show you how to do that before we go any further. Now that I got all the fuel lines connected, this is how it should look. The short one onto the carb, longer one to the primer bulb. I got the the throttle cable hooked up, and I'm holding on to the gasket right now. I'll try and show you guys. If you can see that right there, that's all on like that. Made sure the holes are in the right spot, and they all look good. Now it's time to put this plastic piece back on and line it up with the holes. So I'll try and do that. I can't really do it right now. I'll show you guys just the way I'm holding my phone. So I'll get to it. Now it's all lined up. You can see the gasket's now on it right there. Everything's looking good. The throttle cable's in still. Everything's on. So now it's time we can lightly screw it back in with the Allen wrench. Make sure you catch those threads before really tightening it up. So before you crank on it too hard, I would suggest you guys to test if the throttle cable is on there and it won't pop out. So as you guys can see right there, the throttle cable, when I move it, it's moving the throttle lever to let more gas into the carb. It's actually working. It doesn't have any restrictions, or it doesn't pop out. So that means it's in right. And if it's having problems with that, try and put it on another way, or I have to do some other adjusting with it. And then, yeah. So we're good to tighten these screws back on now. Now that that's all tightened up now, we're good to go put our air filter back in. Just gonna put it in like that. And we got our cover we can put back on. Just like this. Like that. It pops just on like that. And that would be a good time just to test the primer bulb. So it's pushed in, that means it's choked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we're starting to get gas at 12 pumps. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I think 17's alright. It looks like it's getting full. 18 is for good luck. So I think that's good. And I think we're good to go start it. So let's go outside and see how this runs. I tried to start it up for the first time, but it wouldn't run. The reason why it wouldn't run, we put some two-stroke gas in it. Ran fine off of that, so the carb, it works good. But it wasn't sucking any gas into the primer bulb, so we're going to have to replace the fuel lines on it before we can actually get this up and running and be functional. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the fuel line off the primer bulb one at a time, and I'm just going to pull it out from the tank. So the one that goes to the primer bulb, it should be the closest one. So it is the one that goes to the primer bulb, because it's just all the fuel that you click into that, so it won't like flood itself. It'll just go back into the tank. So I'm just going to take that one off, And I got these 2 packs of line right here that should be able to fit it. And just cut it up to the same size as that, and then it should work perfectly fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trusty, dusty needle nose pliers, and I'm just going to slip it into the tank. Make sure they're clean so that we're not getting any stuff in them into the tank. And I'm just going to grab that guy in there. Just got to grab it, hold the weed ear, and slowly pull it out. Just like this. Until it's like right there. Make sure you don't spill anything. It's almost out. So I'm just gonna, just like that, it's out of there. So we want to keep this part because that's a fuel filter. And with this pack of line I got, I think one will do it, like for both lines, because they're so after you're done that, you want to just get the fuel line, and what I do is I cut it on at a little bit of an angle. That way you can stick it through the top here, and it's easier to slide it through the tank. And then once it's down, just poked through, I grab my needle nose pliers, and then I just pull it out a bit. Now we can cut that angled piece off, and now we can put that little fuel filter thing on it. Here's the video of the weed eater running. I forgot to film the part where I took the part that goes into the carb and goes into the fuel tank with the fuel filter on it. I forgot to film that. So now it runs good. I had to turn up the low adjustment, which is the little screw that's closest to the engine of the on the carburetor. Now it runs good, and now I'm ready to sell it. I just have to clean it up and take some photos. So now that it's all cleaned up, I took some photos of it. Looks good. Listed that I had new fuel lines, clean carb. Just cleaned it up. I always clean the trimmer guards up real good because that makes it look a little bit newer than it does. Put some new weed eater line on it. They have this weird style of head on it, which I don't really care for, but it'll do the job. Looks better than what it did before. It's all greasy and oily before. Now it has nice clean fuel lines on it. So I have it listed up for $80. No, I'll probably put it up for $60 just because I don't know, these aren't really worth a whole lot in where I live. But I ended up getting this for free, and the carb only costed me about $13 in total. So if it sells, I'll be still making $45 worth of profit for about 10 minutes of my time. So I think this was a good flip. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you guys want more videos like this by subscribing and liking. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day.